I'm here with country legend Ty Herndon, who has just released his 14th album. Am I correct in that number?
Well, there were a few in the interim that people don't know about, so it's actually the 20th.
20th, wow. And
Yeah.
so that's one a year for your career almost,
Yeah,
right?
pretty
In the
much.
industry.
Pretty much, yeah. With a few
That's-
pauses.
Yeah, 20 albums is a lot though in a 20-year
That's a
career.
lot,
That's a
yeah.
crazy amount.
Some I think were like I'd say projects. I should say projects.
Yeah.
20 projects. You're probably about right on the full length albums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we talk about...
And by the way, you just called me a legend. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, call it as I see it, Ty. Call it as I see it.
My friend Terry Clark and I were talking about it the other day because we get interviewed a lot because we're still doing projects. Tanya's doing projects. Yeah, we all have albums released this last year. And she said, "Have you been called a legend yet?" And I was like, I have. She goes, "It's weird, right?" I said, "Yeah, it's really weird." And Tanya goes, "It's not weird when you receive it."
Well, you know what? Legend has nothing to do with age. It's about
It does
how long you're in an industry and that you thrive in it and that you constantly reinvent yourself.
Absolutely.
And that makes a legend.
We'll let Tanya take the true legend, and Terry and I have just been around a while.
Yeah. I tried to say it more politely. So let's talk a little bit about when you first decided that you wanted to pursue music seriously as a career.
Wow. I talked about this earlier today. I grew up in a family of bluegrass, gospel, country, great musicians. Sitting on my back porch at Christmas time, because it's always warm in Alabama, sitting on my back porch at Christmas time, it's amazing the voices that you would hear. I'm actually probably about fifth in line of the great singers in my family.
None of them are legends, though, right?
None of them are legends. They're legends in my mind,
That's
for
right.
sure. But I think back on, gosh, I have aunts and uncles and cousins that could have easily been George Jones and Patsy Cline and Loretta Lynn. And let's just move on into Trisha Yearwood and Faith Hill. They could have been those singers.
Yeah.
So, and some are still here and some have gone on, but I carry that legacy of that. I've always I'm American Indian, so I've always kind of carried that legacy of a heavy heart when it comes to responsibility about music. I've always been able to, with anything I've gone through in my life, the music has always come first.
Yeah.
And I've always been able to deliver that. I might have been falling apart over
Right.
here, but when it comes to that, I could always step into that.
Yeah.
And that's a legacy I'm proud of.
And you should be.
Thank you.
So you came from a musically inclined family.
Very much so.
And were they supportive of your dream to go off and pursue this as a career? Were they wanting to come with you since they were all musically inclined?
I think that's a big question. I think my entire family always thought I would go into the ministry because I'm a God guy. I'm a higher power guy. I'm a spiritual guy. I'm a meditation guy. I'm just a guy that's connected to a higher power. I think that's probably the American Indian in me and the spiritual man that I am. And that's probably the big reason I'm alive today. It's just I believe in a higher purpose. But wow, I have a family. Back to your question.
We will definitely
I will
get
go
to
way
that.
over there on you, but I can always come back.
You know
Don't
what?
worry.
We will definitely get to what you were just speaking about.
I
That's
can
very important.
definitely swing it back. My family has supported me greatly in my decision to go into country music, and it was not an easy journey for me because I think even I believed at an early age that I would be kind of in the evangelist world because I grew up in that in the South. But at an early age, around 14 years old, I had a traveling evangelist that we had a tent revival, and this is some stuff. I'm giving you some exclusive stuff from the book that's coming later. But I had a traveling evangelist that preached on the sins of homosexuality, and it's I felt like he was looking straight at me and telling me that I was going to burn in hell and that I was damaged. And I went from this 14-year-old vibrant kid to a very withdrawn, maybe this is not what I thought it was, dream. And even my family noticed it. And my mom and I've talked about this many times now, but it was unfortunate that it happened. And I take a great responsibility today to let kids know they're not broken.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want that to happen to any child. To know that they can be a preacher if they want to be. There's affirming churches popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people that need to hear the message of spirituality and whatever their God may be.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think being connected to something is so important. If you want to be a preacher, if you want to be a singer, if you want to be a songwriter, if you want to be an accountant, I think it's always important to be really focused and centered. So
Right.
I'm on a wellness journey right now, as you can tell. I probably will talk about that a lot.
Yeah, you can. This is your show, Ty.
Yeah, man.
So, in keeping with that train of thought, being a musician is probably just as important or just as critical to a human being in terms of keeping themselves grounded and whatnot, hearing other people sing about what you're struggling with and that kind of thing. So did you ever feel, although you didn't do a televangelist sort of career, that you were kind of preaching in a different way?
I think that my music has always had a spiritual element to it, absolutely. Because once that's embedded, it doesn't go away. Period. You know, you can't take it away. It's just there. It's part of the DNA of who you are. And I think that's always showed in my music. People have always said, you know, I know you were really going through a really tough time here, but my God, your message in that song, I was able to feel your heart. I can step in front of that microphone, and I think a lot of people are this way. That a lot of artists are this way. It's just it comes down to you in a moment with you, the song, the mic, and you know what comes out of here, what comes out of your mouth is coming out of your heart. And I tell that to kids today when I talk to them. If you want to be in music, you've got to be so connected.
Yeah.
And make sure you sing about things that you've lived. Because that's been my number one rule with everything. Except for, I mean, obviously when I'm singing a song called Steam, I got a scar on my hand.
Yeah.
I'm not truly connected to that spiritually.
We don't need you to be burning yourself to know what you're talking about in your songs.
There is an element of having fun as well.
Absolutely.
But I love being connected to the music. That's who I am. I have great friends out there, from people that aren't famous yet to people that are very famous, that we have these conversations all the time. That being a successful artist comes on many levels. And I think being the most successful that you can be is being as well and centered as you can be around the music and your message and your connection to the fans and connection in business, your connection to people, and just continually moving forward.
How long before you made that initial breakout of wanting to do music as a career to the release of your first album?
I think it's always been there, quite honestly. You mean me wanting to?
From when you decided you were doing it as a career to the release of your first.
Whoa, a long time.
Yeah.
Yes, I told my mom I wanted to be a country artist when I was a sophomore in high school. She allowed me to go to Birmingham, Alabama to audition for a theme park, which with my family, I was raised Church of God, Pentecostal, very, very charismatic religion. And for me to say I wanted to do something that commercial was kind of frowned upon. But my mom was great. My mom and dad both were like, absolutely, you can go do this. My sister went with me. I got the job. I was traveling from Alabama, my hometown. I was in Decatur, Alabama, to Nashville, Tennessee, which is a 2-hour drive. And my dad made sure I had a really good car to do that. So I got lots of speeding tickets. So much so that they took my driver's license away.
Another part of the book we're giving away.
I never learned that my
This could
my
be like
boot
the audiobook
was, my
version.
boot was really heavy on that. So I haven't had knock on wood, I haven't had a speeding ticket in a long time, but I got plenty of them back then.
You made up for it before when you started.
Yeah, I was just speeding down the road. But I went to work for this theme park, and they threw me right in a show that was, we did the top 10 on the country chart weekly. It kept rolling around, so we had to learn a lot of songs. So I really developed my love for singing other people's songs, which shows in my new record. I got my record deal in a cover band. I mean, I was singing not many originals at all, just singing other people's songs.
Right.
So I love that. I love when I connect to a song. But I went from there. I got cast in a show called Star Search, and I went to on my first airplane ride. I went to Los Angeles, where I spent 3 weeks there. I kept winning, and then I lost, and then I came back because a fellow by the name of Sam Harris, who's a 5-time Tony winner, and my good friend right here in New York City.
Yep.
He and I went head to head on the final show, and of course, Sam won that evening. Thank you, Lee Majors, for not voting for me. I think he was the tiebreaker that evening.
You did all right, though.
I did all right. We've talked about that. And Sawyer Brown was on that year as well. They've had a huge country career. They went on to have a record deal. I did not. After that, I didn't get anything from that show. But a great exposure. We didn't have. I love the crash when I said I didn't get anything from that show.
Live interviews.
You can't buy that, people.
You cannot.
You cannot buy that. And it's like a 10-year-old kid. I love that.
He's a saboteur. I paid him to. When you get going good, I told him to start throwing things.
Is that your kid?
No.
Over there?
No idea who he is.
Well, so I went on and I went back to Nashville. I just kind of thumbed around for a while and just didn't really know what to do. And a buddy of mine in Texas, one of my best friends, said, dude, there are some of the best bands in the country playing in Texas. You need to put a band together to come out here and make some of this money. He was all about money. So, starving to death at the time. So I went to Texas. I put a band together. We rented a Ryder truck. Remember the Ryder rental trucks? So we became Ryder West, R-Y-D-E-R West. That was the name of our band. Till Ryder trucks got a wind of it, and they're like, you can't use that. So we became Ride the West.
Were you driving and speeding in this, or did you?
I did get speeding tickets there, but we were going out every 2 weeks from Nashville. I had a Nashville-based band, and eventually I said, I can't do this. It's too expensive. I was paying so much for travel.
Right.
That I moved. I went ahead and moved to Dallas and hired a Texas-based band. And over the next 4 years, we became very popular. And I won Texas Entertainer of the Year, which got me my record deal. It was people over there from Sony Music that night at that particular event. And it was about 4 months later, my single was released. 14 weeks after that, I had the #1 record in the country.
It's amazing.
Happened that quick.
It's the journey that God put you on.
Journey God put me on, but not quite the journey I thought I would be on, because I was hiding a very big secret at that time, a secret that almost killed me.
Yeah, and you actually led into my next question. Did you ever question yourself going into the country music arena, especially back then when being gay was not accepted, probably, but more so in country music than maybe any other music genre at the time? Was that something that you
gay? Oh, wait, I'm a vegetarian.
Oh, is that what you are?
Yeah.
Sorry, wrong one. Gay, vegetarian, same difference.
That's my big joke in the show. You guys heard the big news? I'm vegetarian.
So did that give you any sort of self-doubt, which you were probably already struggling with because of your homosexuality that you weren't comfortable sharing? Did that add to that?
You know how long it took my mother to stop saying homosexual? I finally got her to start saying gay. It was a pretty funny thing. And now I say it again. She's like, and now I say it again, homosexual. And she's like, I thought I couldn't say that word. I said, no, everything's off the table.
That's right.
Yeah, we can even say queer now. So the kids have brought that back. So I was living in fear from day one because I knew early on that because I'm a redneck dude. I say that word. I've said it today 3 or 4 times, but redneck's not a bad word. I'm a country guy from the South. Yep. I drive a pickup truck. Just the whole thing didn't fit for me. And now I've found out, here in this time of my life, there's just so many, just regular old guys who have married, been together for years, and I love that. I love it so much. But I didn't know that. Back then, I thought that if anyone, that I would never have this career if anyone knew that. So I went to great extremes to hide it, from addiction to marriage to almost losing my life a couple of times. So, but I look back on that now because I am spiritual, and I know that was exactly my journey. Yeah, we wouldn't be sitting here talking today. I wouldn't be going out and talking to all these kids that I get to talk to today if it had been perfect. So that's my journey, to make sure that another kid, just one kid, doesn't have that kind of same story. That this kid can come to Nashville, work hard, be a great singer, be a great songwriter, be a great businessman, and have an incredible career, and just be what I like to say, the new normal. Because I don't really like that word,
Yeah.
Normal is boring.
And,
But
and
I don't want anybody
being gay
to.
does not make you abnormal.
Does not make
Loving
you abnormal.
somebody
Thank you. You
doesn't
took the
make you
words out of my
abnormal.
mouth. Thank you. You can't see this guy back here.
Yeah.
But he's pretty smart.
I'm too good looking to be on camera.
There you go.
So you have used your platform. Before we dive deeper into that, though, you mentioned you did have struggles, and I think that it's very common with gay men who are hiding that you do turn to other devices and other, I'm going to be straight, I'm going to get married, I could do this, I could break it in my head,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
I call it bad medicine.
Bad medicine, which makes even more of a problem attached, which is it's just a vicious circle that never stops. And I think you came out in 2014, right?
I did.
So that was a long time in between you coming out of country music and coming out in
We
country
have a
music.
saying in the Christian world called born again. And that's, for me, was truly the day I was born again. It's the day I truly started loving myself more. And I was able at that point to start loving everyone around me more, including my boyfriend. That started at the time. We're still together, just on 10 years now.
You weren't still together until you just made that flop.
Yeah. I always call him my hubby. I made that mistake in an interview. Like I said, and the fans were all like, "You guys got married?" I'm like, it's common law. Yes, we've been together a long time, so I just call him my hubby, because we don't like the word partner. We don't like the word boyfriend. I don't know. We struggle to find the correct word for it, but we're good. We're good where we're at.
Well, that's the thing. Everybody wants to label everything. It's just
I don't like labels. Do you?
no, not at all. I don't like being labeled anything.
Yeah.
I'm a human being, and whatever else that goes along with it is just that part of me.
I'm a being that's almost human.
Yeah. Through those struggles that you went through, did your bond with being spiritual and with God obviously became stronger, and it must have influenced your music? And I'm speaking before your release, that was really your coming out story.
Yeah, it's a hard subject to talk about, because I think God has the word Christian has a really bad reputation these days, and I hate that. We didn't. It wasn't a higher power that ruined the word Christian, Christ-like. It was humanity that did that. Giving it a bad name, but I don't consider it a bad thing. I mean, I hate that I have to go. I'm spiritual. I'm a God guy. For fear of saying that I'm a believer. That's become my favorite word.
Believer,
I'm a believer. And I'm a believer in many things. I'm a believer in anything that we can be connected to that's healing for us. And believe me, if one of my agents and management sitting right over there, she'll tell you that I drive people crazy with that. I do.
We'd pan over, but we don't have clearance. For
clearance. But I don't have a problem with that, just simply because I feel connected. And that's a good thing. I'm not always right. That's a good thing. And when I go out and talk to these kids, I'm saying, you're not ever going to be perfect, but you have to make an effort to be connected. So.
And going from your first album through the album where you were able to be your true, authentic self, what was some of the processes that you would go through to write songs where you weren't necessarily able to be 100% honest, and how freeing and how amazing was it to write that album where you were your true self?
I think when I recorded the song Lies I Told Myself, I didn't write it, but I connected so tightly to it. Lies I Told Myself, I'm glad I didn't believe. I lived in that space for so long, and I wish I'd written that song. I really do, but I connected to it so strongly that I made it mine. It's like I wrote it. I think when we record something, it becomes ours. That an element of our performance becomes the writer and the song. And I've had many artists tell me that. I think with House on Fire, that whole album, that's before that was written, most of it before it came out, and the album came out after I came out.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot of coming out in this.
There is. It was probably my least. The album got the least attention because I'm not in the place that I'm at today, and I really want to do a acoustic breakdown of that record and re-release it because it really deserves to be heard.
There's nothing better than an acoustic album.
There's nothing better.
When it's just the voice of the singer and the
And we
emotion.
experimented with that a little bit on Got It Covered. We with songs like Have to Surrender, which was really a top 10 record for me. That wasn't even a number one, but it was such a cool song. It's a cool song. The show, we started doing this breakdown version of it. People really love it. Heart Half Empty, which was his duet on the album. We do pretty much a broken down acoustic version of that. And being able to service all that music to the coffee houses and the places on Spotify, playlists. I had to really re-educate myself in this business because it's not the business it was in the 90s. We don't just send a song out to radio and become famous because of a song anymore. That still works for some of the major labels, but I have artists. I mean, look at Brandi Carlile. You know, I've never even met the girl, but you know, she's selling out 5,000 to 10,000 seats. And you know, without a major market hit, you know, it's just across the board, satellite radio, and I love that because I don't ever want to feel limited ever again in my life.
Yeah.
So if I can put out music and know that it's going to be heard and know how to produce it and put it out, that's what I tell the kids today.
When you were releasing music as a closeted man, you knew that there was.
Correction, I wasn't releasing music.
When your
machine
music,
was.
When your machine was releasing music, when you weren't being able to be your authentic self, you probably felt a burden to perform and be there for your fans and know that they were getting something from your music. But then going forward, was the burden even heavier knowing that you now had this platform that people were going to look up to you as a role model?
It was not.
No, that's amazing.
It was not heavier. It was freeing, and just to know that I think I let up on myself a little bit. I'm just going to do music. I'm going to be authentic about it. I'm going to put it out there, and I'm going to know that I have great organizations to take this music to put it out there. Our social media. I think the new record label is social media companies.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just really pushing that stuff out and getting it out everywhere, and really getting people to notice you and hear what you have to say. I don't have any pressure about that, because I'm very outspoken these days. But I have, I have my mom and all these strong women in my life that have always been outspoken but kind.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of that lacking today.
Yeah, there's a generosity in words that you have to find and use, I believe.
When you recorded the album, did you know that you felt freer? Did you realize the impact that you were going to have on people?
No. I've got to be honest.
Yeah.
I did not. This has all been. This is why. Because I believed when I made the decision to come out that I believed that I would one of two things. I would be completely getting out of music, and maybe I would go do some speaking stuff and get to sing a song or two here and there. But I believed that no one would be interested, and I was okay with that. Before I made the decision to come out, I had to be really okay and centered with the fact that I may not get to do this anymore. And if I didn't, then what would I do? So I really was kind of starting to think in that direction. So, and thank my dear friend Shelley Wright for that, because she told me, she goes, if you're looking at coming out as being a thing that's going to get you to a place that you're going to make bank, if you're thinking it's going to make you more famous, if you think it's going to win you all these awards, then don't come out. That's the absolute wrong reason, because you can't come out for other people. Right. You got to come out for yourself.
Absolutely.
So
whether you're a singer or not,
just in life.
It's just in life in general as a gay man or gay person.
And that's really part of the thing I love to go speak about today. You have to make sure that in your bones that you're doing this so that you can be as free as possible and go out and be happy. Happy is a big word. To go out and be happy, because we all, in this society, in this world living today, it's kind of hard to be happy. So,
100% agree.
Yeah, and that starts with you. Starts in here. I mean, I don't win that every day. I mean, someday I just told my hubby. I'm going to call him my hubby. So I just told the hubby the other day. I said, man, this week I've been just waking up feeling so sad. I said, I don't know what's going on with me, and and I know in those moments that's just part of my DNA. I have to really start meditating and praying and doing service for others, do something for somebody, and just kind of step out of yourself. Because my dad, passed away, an alcoholic, very depressed man, but a beautiful man. So on his best day, he would do anything for anybody, and I see so much of me in him. And one of the great things about healing generations, and I love this, I'm going to get really deep on you right now. Healing generations, yeah, I've gone back as far as my grandfather on my dad's side, because that's as far back as I can trace the fact that there was a very depressed time, and I feel like I've been able to free myself of that. And so on those days when I'm feeling really depressed, I just wake up, have a cup of coffee, sit down, meditate, and go, this just is what it is today, and it's not reality. This is just forgive my language, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
And I can usually pull myself out of it, and then I'm going to refer to some friends over here again, and they know the days that they don't hear from me that I'm just working through it.
Yeah.
Not dealing reality, folks. That's just it. You're not always going to win. So
it kind of struck me what you said about there are some days when you don't feel like you're helping somebody or that, but just by being who you are and you're being a singer and you have eyes on you, people watching that you may not even realize are looking to you to help them. So even when you don't feel like you're doing something, chances are you're probably helping somebody along the way, and that's got to be an amazing
on
feeling.
my worst day, I can go and sit down on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and find plenty of messages, people that are reaching out, and I try to do that. I really do. But what I try not to do is absorb that energy.
Because then that just just adds heaviness to you, and if you're already feeling depressed, then it's going to make you worse, and like you're going to slide backward. It's a delicate line.
It's a delicate line giving back.
You can be empathetic, but you can also know when it's too much, where you're going to lead yourself into a very dangerous territory.
Because I'm like my mom, I will get very involved. But I have to really watch that, because the best you can do is to say, I'm sending you a hug today. I'm so sorry you're going through this, and I maybe am struggling something very similar today. So, and I don't get really too involved, but
just your presence is an involvement, though, so that's got to feel good.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. It helps me.
Yeah.
It helps me a lot. So.
When you release this album, your current album, there's a rainbow on it, so it's you're definitely proud of who you are and what you're putting out, and you've done so much in these last 5 years working with the
Thank
Trevor
you.
Project and Glad.
Yeah.
I want to word this the right way. Is it equally fulfilling doing the service that you're doing as your music, or do you find your higher calling has been to be of service in that way?
No, you worded it perfectly. When I can marry all that into a project like we're doing right now, this is going to sound business 101 right now.
Yeah.
When I can marry like this project we're doing with Spotify and the Trevor Project, because the Trevor Project is pretty much the organization that built me, the charity that built me, because I actually sang at the Trevor Project back in 1984 when it was a drag show.
Wow,
That's how far back I go with the Trevor Project, and see where they've come today. So being able to tie in this beautiful Carrie Underwood song with the Rainbow Squad in Nashville with these LGBTQ kids, they schooled me, LGBTQ plus kids. Yes, a 10-year-old schooled me on that.
Very easy to get schooled these days.
Yeah, and I love them for it. I'm open to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then being able to tie those beautiful, healthy, happy faces. They have a sense of community. They have each other to lean on. And I would love to see that happening in every city, everywhere. Because I think that's creating such a foundation for support and happiness.
Yeah.
And love, and maybe creating a new family for these guys that are living under bridges that don't have it. So I'm encouraging, I was just talking to one of the ladies from the Rainbow Squad the other day, because we still have a lot of LGBTQ kids on the streets, even in Tennessee. So, I want to get those kids off the street. And, I was 1 degree away from, thank God for my supportive family, but it could have easily gone the other way.
Yeah.
They could have easily said at 14 years old, I'm sorry, you're what?
Right.
I'm sorry, you can't be in this house anymore. I'm sorry, you can't go to this church anymore. I'm sorry, you have to leave.
And that's a whole devastating layer on top of what you're already feeling.
Yeah.
Which is part of the reason you're in the closet to begin with.
So I have no doubt in my mind, if that would happen to me, I would not be on this earth today.
Yeah.
Because I cannot live without the love and support of.
Same here.
You made me get emotional.
Your mom sent me good money to do that.
Yes, so I.
family support is so important.
You catch me at the end of the day. I'm a
Yeah.
little emotional. But I can't imagine that happening to a 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old. We have one job, and that's to love our kids, period. So, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Let me crank up the. Yeah, we got one job, and that's to love our kids, and I can't imagine. And a lot of times today, I get to go out and talk to parents too that have actually kicked their kids out of their homes and families and churches, and that kid is gone now, and how they so much wish they could take it back.
It's almost like things don't affect you until they affect you.
Yes.
And it's I think that's very telling for not just.
And for the parents that show up to these seminars and they see these other stories, I love them so much because they're on the fence about what am I going to do about this kid, and they leave knowing I just got to love this kid. I got to educate this kid. I got to feed this kid. I got to make sure that he is put out into this world a great human being. That's it. There's nothing else to it. Period. And I will, I'll fight you on that.
You mentioned your spirituality and how important that is to you. Have you ever had to deal with, since you've come out, or even prior, issues with people forcing their religious belief on you, making you feel less than you are?
I'm very knowledgeable of the Bible.
Yeah.
I grew up very, very, very knowledgeable. I mean, let's not forget, I was poised to be a young evangelist at a very early age. So you can't really win that with me because I love Matthew Vine's book, God and the Gay Christian. I'm going to go back to that. I'm going to go back to that because he goes back and fights every scripture that is thrown at an LGBTQ kid or man or woman. And I saw this young man's mom and dad even go up against the church. And I don't want to say, I don't believe in win or losing really. There's right and wrong. And if you want to open up your heart and mind to know exactly what was going on in the scripture during those times, and with all these things that are said that are what I call word killers, it's homicide of words to these kids. It's a great book to read.
Yeah, I'm going to definitely
check it out.
I will 100% order it on Amazon.
Yeah, I'll hit you in the head with that book.
Yes.
It's kind of cool.
Please don't. Not till after the
Not
interview.
you.
Wow. Threatening violence?
You.
Wow. You went from crying to beating the crap out of me. Thanks. So wrapping up. So now I lost my.
It's just an old saying.
Yeah, no, I know. It's a very difficult thing to see people quote scripture to promote their
Agenda.
way of thinking
Yeah.
and their agenda. Yes, I didn't want to say the word agenda,
Yeah.
but yes, and it makes it even harder on somebody who's already questioning their own worth and their own, oh my God, God's going to hate me.
Yeah.
And then you got to fight that, like, God loves everyone, God created me.
Yeah.
And it's just so.
You just have to remember.
People don't, and then you're not being a loving human being. You're not being a loving Christian if you're putting stipulations on things.
I tell kids this all the time. It's really simple. You just have to remember that is a human being's opinion. That is another person who believes so strongly, and that's also been put into them. It's not their fault.
Right, absolutely. It's no one's fault. It's
But
just the way.
they're just doing what they were taught to do. And it's your job to be a little more educated than them and to come back and say, I love you, but I disagree. That's all there is to it. I'm not going to fight with you about this.
Yeah.
My God loves me. My higher power loves me. This tree over here that I planted in my yard that I call my higher power loves me.
Yeah.
It starts that simple.
It's so funny how teaching is a good thing and it's also a bad thing. There's been a video circulating of a little African American boy and a little white boy here in New York City.
Saw it.
Yeah. And like, those children are so innocent. They don't know gay, they don't know black, they don't know white, they don't know rich, they don't know poor.
No.
And society teaches them. And you just want to hold on to that and wish they could be like that forever. I've experienced that with my nephews, and it's just like, it's such a heartbreaking thing.
I'm going to close with this. My grandma always said, you know, we're supposed to look up to humans, but it's unfortunate when you're put in a situation where you're looked down on, where you're looked down upon. And if you don't have anyone to look up to, then you're going to learn what's down. And I didn't say that correctly, like she always said it's the end of the day. But I think what she meant by that is we have a responsibility, if we're going to put kids out on this planet, to look at where we're at in the world today, and just to make sure they're loved. And if whatever your God is, just make sure he's a good God.
Right.
She's a good God.
Right.
It's a good God. Just make sure that if you're going to teach it, please.
Right.
The end.
Absolutely. You did mention a book. Are you actually writing a book? Is that
The
something
book
you're
is
allowed to
halfway
talk about?
done.
It's
Yeah,
halfway
the
done?
amazing Chris Willman, who is with Variety magazine now. We've spent hours on this book, and we took a pause because so much has happened to me in the last 4 years, and so we're picking it back up and wrapping it up, hopefully here in the fall. And we had a little trouble finding a publishers. Hey, publishers out there,
Yeah,
because they
what the
think
heck's
country
wrong with you?
doesn't
Yeah.
sell. This ain't country, girl.
That's right.
This is life. Hello. It's real life, real truck driving life.
People don't understand the power of a written book or words. I've been introduced to people.
Just like to
through
point out, I
books
just
of-
called every publisher on the
I know
planet
that.
girl. Sorry guys.
So Ty will be self-publishing his book.
it
now
might have been
after that.
my gayest moment right there. Shut up.
Oh, there's my. She's like, I certainly did some really bad stuff. The interview after the interview will.
I'm a
will
cowboy,
feature
David.
Amy.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk today. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. I am more than happy to keep going if you'd like. If you feel you have more to say.
I think that this is a wonderful
it's good.
stopping place.
All right, awesome. Ty, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure.
Absolutely.
And I look forward to hopefully sitting down with you again when the book comes out,
Yeah.
or when your next music comes out, which I think you teased might be in a year.
Yeah. Maybe sooner.
Maybe sooner.
Yeah.
All right. You heard it here first. Thanks so much, Ty.
Absolutely. See you.